Okay, so this should be up in just a bit. Let's copy the link and send to the WhatsApp, the Zoom link, the Zoom.
It's all right, sir. I have that copied. I'll send it now.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, so I can go ahead, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so where was I? Yeah, the best time to resolve a conflict is before it starts at all. Let's go to Genesis chapter 37, verse 4 and 5. Genesis 37, verse 4 and 5. Bible Gateway. And I'll prove this theory I just told you from the Bible. Genesis 37, verse 4 and 5. Someone can help us put it on in the chat box. Genesis 37, verse 4 and 5. It's about Joseph and his brothers. Yeah, it says, and when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him. So you see, what did Joseph do? Nothing. When did they hate him? When they saw that their father loved him more than everybody. So it was about who he was. He was daddy's boy. That was why they hated him. He was daddy's boy. They hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. So he had already seen, he had already sensed it, rather, now that these guys are not happy with me. They could not speak peaceably to him. So he tries to talk to them, like brothers, and then they don't talk to him like a brother. He had sensed it. That was when Joseph could have resolved whatever issue it was. That was when, but then he was still a kid, he was still a child. That was when he could have resolved whatever the issue was. So it wasn't, many people think that it was his dreams that made his brothers hate him. It was not his dreams. It was not that he was sharing his dreams that made them. They hated him because of who he was, not because of what he said. They hated him because he was daddy's boy, not because he was the dreamer. Now, verse 5 says, and Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and then they hated him the more. So you see, they already hated him before. The dream was just what now facilitated the action of let's kill him, let's look for an opportunity to do something, but they already hated him. So if you want to resolve a conflict, if you want to ensure that you are resolving conflicts, how would I put it now? That you don't have conflicts with people, then you should already be resolving the conflict before it starts. The moment you start sensing that this person has an issue with me, the moment your husband already is not speaking peaceably with you, that's the time to resolve the conflict. Not when he has already said that, see, don't even make my food again in this house. I'm not eating in this house. That's not the time to start resolving conflict. At that time, you're already late. Of course, you can still resolve it at that time, but you are not early in resolving that conflict. So you need to be very, very attentive to how people perceive you. Very, very attentive to how people relate with you, how they see you, before the conflict really comes up. Because that's when it starts, and that's when you can just, a stitch in time, saves 9. That's when you can actually just teach it quickly. Imagine if Joseph understood this thing that we're talking about today, understood that if my brothers are not speaking peaceably with me now, then a conflict is about to rise up. And I must do everything to ensure that I kill it. we'll talk about the different strategies of killing conflict, of resolving conflict. And then what I would have suggested for Joseph in this case is, I won't talk about it now when we get there anyways. So they only hated him more because of his dreams. Some of you think that they are beefing you in your office because you are ambitious, you are a goal-getter and all that. That's not why they are beefing you. They are beefing you, because they are beefing you because you are ambitious and a goal-getter. But it's not majorly because of that. It's probably because of how you talk about your ambitions. It's probably because of how you go about achieving your goals. So it's not really about that you have ambitions and all that. No. It's because of who you are to them, how they perceive you. They see you as maybe you are proud because you're always talking about your ambitions all the time. So one day when you now talk about something that you want to do or something that a goal that you want to achieve, and they now come and attack you, you think that it's what you said that you want to achieve these things. Not that. It started since with the way you have always been telling them that you are the best in that office. That if you don't step in, that things don't get done. It started since. So you need emotional intelligence to be able to understand this thing, understand the emotions of people and how to react to their emotions. You need emotional intelligence to be able to know what to say, how to say it, how to relate to people, and how to ensure that they relate with you the right way. All right? Your conflict resolution skills are best used before the conflict starts. Best used before the conflict starts. Okay? All right. So now that we've got that out of the way for you to understand really when conflict really starts, we can move into conflict resolution. Let's talk about, should we talk about the elephant in the room first, which is conflict resolution in marriage? Conflict resolution in marriage. All right. So in marriage, you see, okay, we should talk about that first. Yeah. You see, when it comes to marriage, now this is a very big deal. I'm not a marriage counselor. My wife is the one who is the master in that field. But then I am a man, and since most of you are women, if not all of you are women, then I could talk about one or two things that will really help you in resolving conflicts in marriage. The major thing, most important thing when it comes to your relationship with your husband is respect. Respect. If your husband knows beyond every reasonable doubt that you respect him, it will be easy for you to resolve any conflict that comes up. Any conflict that comes up. If he knows beyond all reasonable doubt that you respect him, then the day that you guys have a fight, it will be easier for you. I said it's about who you've been before that day that the fight came up. If you have been the babe or the wife that does not respect him before that day, go hard. It will be difficult, very difficult for him to go your way or to cooperate with you. He would stand his ground and say, because that's how you are, so I'm going to stand my ground on this particular one. So ensure that what the Bible talks about in Ephesians chapter 5, ensure that it is your motto all the time. Submit to your husband. Submit to your husband. And please don't try to say, God made the two of us to have dominion over the whole earth. God made the two of us to have dominion. So as you have dominion, I have dominion too. That will only bring up fights. Think about it. If you are doing something, you must always expect a reaction. Newton's law of motion, and it's one of the major laws in life. Of course, Newton's laws. Everything that goes up must surely come down. Also, for every action, there's always an equal and opposite reaction. So whatever you are giving to him, he's bouncing back on you. Equal and opposite. In fact, because men's muscles are big, many times, when it gets there, it bounces back really harder. All right? So you must always respect and submit to your husband. That will help you a long way in resolving whatever conflict comes up before, between the two of you. A long way. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm sure, if you're married, you know this already. that sometimes some conflicts can come up that are really, really terrible, really big. It's hard for you to know exactly what to say to resolve that conflict. But what will help you at that time is who he has perceived you to be before that time. Who he has perceived you to be before that time. Okay? So respect, very important. Keep that as like the foundation on which every other thing we're going to discuss is going to be, built on when it comes to conflict resolution in marriage. Now, when your husband does something that you don't like and you want to express it to him, we'll start from that and we'll come to when he expresses to you. Your husband does something that you don't like and you want to express it to him. Never, ever attack him. Always talk about the issue, what he did, and not who he is. So don't say you are dirty. You always put your shoe on the bed. You are dirty. That is you bringing fights. So equal and opposite reaction will come. Fight is going to follow. Never tell him, never name him or tag him with something negative. Whenever you will name him or tag him, make sure it's always with something positive. Always with something positive. So instead of saying that you are dirty, you talk about the issue, which is, you put your shoes on the bed. That's the issue. So if you are going to use you in any sentence, especially when you are unhappy with him, it must be positive. If you use you and it is negative, you are looking for fight. So you don't say you are dirty, you did this, you did that. No, you don't do that. You don't say you spoiled the cooker, you spoiled the this. No, you don't do that. Whenever you're going to relate with him as per negative, something that he did wrong, you should put the attention on yourself and say, I feel this way whenever you put your shoes on the bed. I feel taken for granted whenever you put your shoes on the bed. Now, my wife used this thing on me, and then that was how I even learned it also. She said, I can't remember what exactly it was, but there was something I had been doing that she didn't like. And then she had always said, why are you always doing this thing? Why are you always doing this thing? Why are you always doing this thing? You're always doing this, you're always doing that. I didn't just change it. Men can be stubborn sometimes. I didn't just change it. Not like I didn't want to change it, but then I just wasn't convinced enough. I just would forget, because she complained last time, she complained. Let me tell you something, complaining never changes a man. Never changes a man. A man does not change based on your complaints. What will change the man is what he wants to see in you. When he feels like, I've been making this babe sad. I've not been making her happy. That's what will change him. So rather than complaining, communicate that thing that he doesn't like to see in you. I don't like my wife being sad. I don't like my wife being unhappy or being angry. I don't like it. So because of that, I will change that. When she just complains, it doesn't change. I won't change. It's not even as I'm trying not to change. It's just that it's just natural with me. I just won't change. So on this particular day, instead of saying you did this wrong, you did that wrong, she said, I can't remember exactly what she said, but the concept is the same anyway, so I'll just use anything. She said, I feel unhappy, I think. I feel unhappy when I can't remember the thing exactly, but let me use the one I've been saying since. I feel unhappy when you put your shoes on the bed. The moment she said that, I felt like, are you serious? I make you feel unhappy and all that. I'm sorry. I took the shoes now, as an example. I took the shoes away from the bed and I put it. Are you happy with the shoes here? And then she said, yes, it's fine. I'm like, okay, fine. From that day, the thing just registered in my mind that I should not have put my shoes on the bed. It makes my wife feel unhappy. And remember, it's because I know that she respects me. Already, my perception of her is someone who respects me, who loves me. So she did not put the attention on me. She didn't say, you put your shoes on the bed again. Of course, I don't put my shoes on the bed. This is an example, okay? I doubt if any man, anyways, puts his shoes on the bed. So it's an over-the-top example, just as an example. Or maybe we should use, you remove your clothes and put it on the chair in the bedroom. Usually in almost every bedroom, there's usually that chair where clothes land on. And most of the time, it's the woman that is always complaining about that and saying, no, this chair is for you to sit. It's not for you to remove your clothes when you come back from work and put it, yeah, that chair, right? All right, it's not for you to remove your clothes and put it there, and then you just remove your even suit and all that, just put it there. And then you now discover that maybe like 4 or 5 days later, when you want to wear that suit, it's from that chair that you are taking it. You've noticed the chair too in almost every home. All right, so if we're going to use that chair example, but let's keep, so that we're not shaking any particular person's table. Let's keep the shoe on the bed example. All right, so instead of saying that you put your shoe on the bed, or you keep putting your clothes on this chair, say, I feel unhappy when you put your clothes. I feel taken for granted when you do this. I feel abandoned when you come home late. I feel abandoned. I feel lonely whenever you come home late. Okay, if the man ignores your feelings, I'm telling you the honest truth. If a man ignores your feelings, it's because you've been ignoring his own feelings too. If a man does not care whether you are happy or not, it's because you have also shown him that you don't care whether he's happy or not. If you guys got married in love, not that you got married out of an arrangement, no, you guys actually loved each other, went through your counseling sessions, knew what you were getting into, and then you got married in love. And most of the time, many women don't even know that they are passing the wrong message to their husband, because women are so occupied with many things. You have work. Women are still very much attached to their family, their personal, their family, not the family that they just made, their family, they are like their dad, their mom, still really attached to their siblings and all that, and then many other things. So most of the time, the husband, after all these things have taken all the space, the husband takes the remaining space, and they don't even know. So a woman has to consciously put her husband in the forefront and make him have. A man will easily do that. That's why the Bible says that, men should love, that men should love their wives. A man will easily, it's not even, it's easy for him to do all that, to put her in the forefront and all that. It doesn't even mean that he loves her. It's just easy for him to do that. But for a woman, she has to purposely do that. She has to purposely put him in the forefront. All right. So if you actually got married, you guys actually loved each other and everything was okay before you got married, and he does not care about your feelings now, it's because you also have ignored his feelings in the past. It's because he has mentioned certain things to you that you did not pay attention to, you did not do anything about. So now if he's ignoring your feelings, it's really because you have ignored his feelings in the past. Remember, it's not about what you did now. It's about who you are to him. It's about who he has perceived you to be. His brothers didn't hate him because he had dreams and he talked about his dreams. They hated him because he was daddy's boy. Your husband does not ignore your feelings because it just feels like ignoring your feelings and all that. Check your own self. Look into the mirror. And that's one major thing that you must understand when it comes to resolving conflict. You must look into the mirror. We'll come to that anyways. You must look into the mirror and say, what am I doing wrong? Pay more attention to your own actions, because it's as the action comes, you get a reaction. So what am I doing wrong more than what is he doing wrong? And you must understand this thing. You have the best control over yourself. Your greatest influence is over yourself, not over your spouse. So whenever there's something wrong between me and my wife, and we're quarreling for a while, maybe it's been going on for days and all that, I check, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? If I can change my own self, then it will be easier for her to change also. So if I've changed something about myself and it's how would I put it, metamorphosis to her, and she sees that this guy has changed something about himself, it's easier for me to now ask her to change something about herself. All right, so that's that's that. We're talking about how to express your hurts, how to express whatever it is that you want him to change. Never use you, always use I. I feel this way when you do this. I feel lonely whenever you come back home late. So the next time he's about to come home late, he remembers that you feel lonely. He does not think she go talk again. I could just beg her, and that's how we guys think. He remembers that, oh, she will be feeling lonely. Let me go home and keep her company. That sort of thing. She may be feeling abandoned. Let me go home and keep her company. Rather than you saying you're always coming home late. This, that, this. Are you the first person that will be working in that office? Are you even the this? Are you even the that? Are you even the that? He will keep coming home late. That's probably why you have not noticed a change in his attitude. He will keep coming home late. But if he loves you and he cares about your feelings, then, and you mention it to him that this is how it makes you feel, he will change it. He will change it immediately. I'm telling you, this thing works like magic on me. I'm telling you something that my wife used for me. I don't know how she learned it. I don't know who taught her. Maybe it was the Holy Spirit that taught her, but she used it on me and it worked like magic. I found myself like, I need to make her feel happy. I found myself doing, and it was in that moment I was like, yeah, what happened? This babe used jazz for you. And I just realized, and then I asked her, and then she said that was what, the difference was that she told me how she felt. Okay, so we need to pay attention to that, all right? Now, when it comes to you now, him telling you what he feels that you should change, the things that he feels that you should change, please and please, never just say, okay, I will change it. Don't just say, okay, I will change it. You know why? Because you won't change it. If I'm to ask your husband, if your husband is there with you right now, ask him that those things that he has asked you to change, that you said immediately that you will change, did you change them? I'm very sure that his answer is no. You have not changed that thing. And you've told me maybe like 10 times that you're going to change it and you have not changed it. That's probably what his answer is going to be. Never just say, yes, I'll change it. No. Always ask him and say, how about if I do it this way? How about if I do it that way? Okay, what exactly is the effect on you? You need to assimilate it for you to really change it. You need to assimilate that he's feeling, what he really wants for you to change it. One thing that my wife changed almost immediately, I mentioned it, was she used to cook when when we just got married, and she has put seasoning, like Maggi seasoning, and puts it in the food like this. She will now take water and rinse her hand into the soup because the seasoning is still in her hand. So she now take water and rinse her hand into the soup. The day I said, I was like, hey, don't do that, because you didn't just wash your hand before you've touched one the bowl or the plastic that you put pepper, you've touched the one that you put rice, you've touched this, you touched that, then you now rinse that hand into the soup. I said, don't do that. And then she said, why? And I said, because, and I explained to her why. And she said, okay, she's not going to do it again. And that thing, I don't know, is she just immediately stopped it. I didn't catch her doing it. And we just got married then, so that's like 7 years ago. And she just immediately, it just registered for her to stop it. But how come it registered? And then there are some other things that I've said, no, don't do this. I don't like you doing this thing. And then she'll say, okay, I won't do it again. And then she will still do it the next time. How come that one registered? Because the moment I said it, she asked me, she said, why? And she said, excuse me. And she said, this is how we do it. This is how women do it generally and all that. And I said, no, it is wrong. Even though women do it generally like that, it is wrong. It's common with us. It is wrong. I said, it's wrong because that hand probably has dirt in it. It's possible that a fly was on the pepper or whatever it is that you just touched in your process of cooking. And then you now rinse whatever the fly has put on that stuff, you now rinse it into the food. Okay, so I explained to her and then immediately she got it. And then that one changed immediately. So you can repeat the exact same process now consciously, she did that unconsciously. You can repeat that process consciously with other things that your husband wants you to change. Okay, so if he tells you, please stop leaving this door open, please stop doing this, ask him why. Don't just assume that you will stop because he said you should and you will stop. So please stop leaving this door open. It's better to rinse under the tap. Yeah, so it's better to rinse under the tap. Please stop leaving this door open. Why? This is I usually like to leave the door open because it's easy for me to just come back in instead of opening the door. And then he explains to you why. And then the man even feels happy, feels good that you actually want to know why. So he explains to you why. After he has explained to you why, it sinks more in your head, in your mind. And it's practically the same process as when you also tell him this is how you feel when he does this. Because you're asking him why makes him tell you how he feels when you do that. All right. So it sinks more in your head, and then you can change it. Most of the time, what causes conflict in marriages is not something that somebody did now, today. It's something the person has been doing for long, and everybody has their elastic limit. My elastic limit may be 3 months. Your own elastic limit may be 6 months. So if you've been doing something to me that I don't like, and I've been talking about it, the moment 3 months elapses like this, hey, voila, fire and brimstone, I will just rain down on you. Why? Because I've been telling you for 3 months. 3 months. Whereas you are feeling like it's just 3 months now, it's supposed to be 6 months. You're not saying it consciously, but somehow in your mind, you're like, yeah, and he's saying it as if I've been doing it for so long. I've not been doing it for so long now. And when did I do that? Some men don't like to be asked why. How do you cope? It's how you ask him. It's how you ask him. So you see, why is it that some what's it called now? Side chicks, yeah. Why is it that some side chicks get a better listening ear from men than even the man's wife? It's because the side chick is submissive to him. The side chick is not, she does not bother him with many of the big things that the wife bothers him with, which are important too. Anyways, like school fees and all that stuff. Because side chick really cares about how he feels. Asks him, do I boil water for you? Do I do this? Do I do that? And all those things. If you do those things, I'm telling you, it's difficult for him to question you're asking him, why would you want? Especially if you're not asking him based on confrontation. If you have always been confronting him all the time and you ask why, now confrontation. But if you have not been a confrontative person, is that correct? If you have not been confronting him all the time, then your why would be, I want to understand better how this makes you feel, rather than fight with you. All right? Confrontational, thank you. If you have not been a confrontational person, then your why would mean something different. Okay? You need to probably take a course. So this is not just adverts, maybe like because I want I want my wife to make money or something. No, this is very important. There's a course my wife has, Communication That Works. I don't even know the website or the URL. Maybe if you check our Instagram bio, you see it. There's a course my wife has, Communication That Works. In that course, she actually outlines many of these things. And if every woman, and it's every woman that she mentors or submits to her and all that, if every one of these women actually go through that course and digest that course, I'm very sure that some of the counseling calls it's a very detailed course. So you've taken the course, Ifeoma. Yeah, very detailed. So I'm sure some of the counseling calls that she gets, some issues that she gets, they would be resolved because she has already taught how to resolve those things. Like this one I just talked about now, about how he makes you feel, talking about how he makes you rather than you. It's from that course also. It's in that course also. She mentioned it there. So some of these things would have been resolved. So I think that you should take, it's 20,000 naira. But honestly, your marriage is worth more than 20. If you get a divorce, God forbid. But if something happens that really, really shakes your marriage, 20,000 naira would be nothing. So rather than do that, save it with this. And many times, and she has had people who have called her and said that their marriage is about crashing and all that. And then she charges them for counseling sessions to try and to resolve the marriage. Usually one counseling session is never enough. So they end up spending a whole lot. And in my mind, I'm thinking if this person only took this communication that works course maybe a month ago, they would have learned what would have saved them this money. So the money is inconsequential, honestly. The 20,000 naira is inconsequential, and then the value that is in it is way more than 20K. But the 20,000 naira is even inconsequential compared to how much you will actually spend if there is actually trouble. All right. So please take that course. In that course, she also talks about men that are very authoritative, men that are like Lion of the tribe of Judah in their house. I think that's module 6 or thereabout. She talks about that one too. So how to deal with it. So please take that course. Very, very important. Very, very important. Very important. All right. So what was I talking about before I saw that comment? All right. So ask him why. Ask him why. Go through a conversation about it, and that way it sinks in your mind, because a woman's mind is very busy. She's thinking about 10 different things. Just when he's telling her, don't leave the door open or stop leaving the door open. And 10 different things are on her mind. She just said that okay to push one of the extra things that wants to come in out. So, but when you go through a conversation about it, then, it's better. All right. So you should ask him why. Oh man, my train of thought just and I'm doing most of these things extempore. All right, so that's resolving conflict in marriage. Resolving conflict in marriage. So yeah, Ifeoma said so many things to think of. I think Ifeoma has taken that course. She also is one that said very detailed course. Okay, now let's come to conflict resolution in the home. What's the time now? So it's almost 10 o'clock. So in the home. I believe questions will be 30 minutes before the class ends. Hosts or admin? I need to know. I just have 30 minutes for this.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's just go to conflict in the workplace, because what I was told is conflict in marriage and conflict resolution in marriage, conflict resolution in the workplace. Remember, the most important thing is who you are. The best time to actually resolve a conflict is before that conflict ensues, before it happens. That's the best time. When you already start sensing that this person perceives me this way. All right. And you need emotional intelligence. Sometimes you need to buy gifts. You need to buy gifts. Sometimes you need to go out of your way to do certain things for people. In your workplace too, go out of your way to do certain things for people. All right. But understand this principle. Let me just talk about this. And I believe the Holy Spirit brought it to my mind for a reason. Many times women get taken for granted by their spouses and they don't even know why. They're like, I cook for him, I do everything for him, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. Especially when they are not yet married. When they are married, things just flip. But before they are married, I do this, I'm like the perfect wife or perfect babe for him. And then they don't even know why. I'll tell you the truth. People will take you for granted if you are perfect. People will take you for granted if you are perfect. So they have to have a blend of the good, the bad, and the ugly for them to really have you in their mind and really want the best for you, for them to even really express their love to you. So, I mean, something just came to my mind now that I feel I wanted to share, but I won't share because some of you will say that I was a bad boy before I got mine. So I won't share it. But let me just give you as a scenario. If a girl is always washing plates, washing clothes, doing everything for a guy, the guy is likely not to marry her. All right? He's likely not to marry her. If she never makes him, worried, she never worries him, she never gives him some trouble once in a while, he's likely not to marry her because she's always available. And social media experts understand this thing very well. And that's why they give you a blend. They don't let you see that person's post all the time. That person who you like seeing their post, they don't let you see it all the time. So they let you see that post. They let you see some other posts that you don't really like. They also how would I put it? Measure how your post is exposed to people. So you put up a post now and 200 people liked it. You put up another post tomorrow and only 5 people like it. That's what keeps you coming back to that social media network. But if you always put up posts and 200 people like it, 1,000 people like it, and everybody's always liking it, you will get tired of that social media network. You will get tired of Instagram. If Instagram was always appealing to your, just always trying to make you happy, you get tired of it. So that's why you put up a post now, you just see 1,000 people like, wow, this is good. And then you are excited about it. So you need to be that blend. You need to have that blend with your husband or with your spouse. You need to have that blend of times when he's like, man, this girl is just making me happy every time. And then once in a while, you give him some attitude. You just show him some attitude. Generally, you respect him and all that too. But then you just show, that blend is very, very important. Very important. So in your workplace, and what made me really even think about that is that in your workplace too, because you're trying to make somebody like you, or because you're trying to ensure that somebody has a good perception of you, does not mean that you should now lie down on the floor for the person to walk on you. No. It does not mean that you should do that. Do all that you can to make the person like you, but once in a while, make the person worried. So today you bought food for the person, or you were really nice to the person, and then tomorrow you're not that nice. That's what will make the person be thinking more about you than, this tactic I used a lot before I got married. I used a lot on girls. I used a lot. So, I'm trying to explain it without going into those details. But majorly, you need that blend. Call, talk, and then sometimes you don't talk. You get it. It's better when you do that than when you just. Variety is the spice of life. Thank you. Godly variety, exactly. So yeah, so it helps you rather than you now becoming somebody that you can just walk over, right? Rather than you now become somebody that can just walk over. So it's very important that you understand that in the workplace. All right. Now, if you're an HR person, you probably know this model already, the Thomas Kilmann model. The Thomas Kilmann model. Most HR professionals use it, and there's a whole lot more. But when it comes to the conflict resolution management, there are 5 particular things in the workplace now. 5 particular things. Some of these things may not happen, may not be realistic in the house, but in the workplace, 5 particular things that you need to understand about when you want to manage conflict or resolve conflict. Number 1 is avoiding. Number 2 is accommodating. Number 3 is compromising. Number 4 is competing. And number 5 is collaborating. So you can either avoid, you can accommodate, you can compromise, you can compete, or you can collaborate. Okay? You can what? Avoid. What else? Compromise, accommodate, compete, or collaborate. Okay. Now, if you decide to avoid, it means that at this point, you are practically hoping that it changes, maybe just by you avoiding it, or you are an introvert. You're an introvert, and so instead of confronting or doing anything, you just try to avoid it. If you're hoping that it changes, well, that may work. But if you're an introvert, I won't advise you to do that because you have your elastic limit. The day that elastic limit arrives, avoiding will not work anymore, and that day you will explode. So don't try to, if you're an introvert and you're just trying to avoid confrontation, please don't use avoidance when it comes to resolving a conflict. Don't use avoidance. There are other methods that you can use. We'll talk about these other methods, compromising and all that you can use rather than using avoidance if you're an introvert. But if it's because you are hoping that it changes, then you can use avoidance because this person is not really like that. If the person is doing like this, well, hopefully maybe something is happening with the person at home or something, maybe it will change. Then you can use avoidance to just avoid whatever it is. And then when the person comes around and changes, then you're like, I said it. I knew that, that's not you really, you get. So you can use avoidance for that. But if you're an introvert, please don't use avoidance. Don't use avoidance, okay? So that's avoidance. I need to be very, very, very fast now. That's that's for avoidance. In marriage, please don't use this Thomas Kilman model because it may not work. Avoidance does not work in marriage. Please, when you are trying to resolve, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. In fact, it annoys and infuriates your spouse. Number 2 is accommodating. Accommodating is when you take steps to try and satisfy the other person. Okay, what is it that you want? What do you want me to do? All right, okay, no problem. I'll start doing that, or I'll do it this way since that's how you want it. Okay, so that's when you're now accommodating the other person. Most of the time, phlegmatics, find this easy to do, or melancholies find this easy to do. If you are sanguine, it may be difficult. Sanguines probably don't even send. If you are choleric, this may be very, very difficult for you to do. And that's just to accommodate, because cholerics like to be in control. So you can't tell me what to do. That's a choleric's language. You can't be telling me what to do. You can't be the one commanding me. But please, I remember I mentioned emotional intelligence, very, very important. There are times when you need to be accommodating. There are times when you actually just need to go the person's way. And then you will know those times. So because it's about human beings, there's no hard and fast rule to say this is the time when you should be accommodating, this is the time when you should do this, because you are dealing with different people here. All right. So, but when it is time for you to accommodate, please go ahead and be accommodating. Please go ahead and be accommodating. Don't always try to assert. And then there are 2 types of people. There's the assertive person and then there's the cooperative person. So don't always try to assert your own self on people. No. Don't always try to do it. Sometimes you need to just accommodate them. Sometimes you need to just do it as they are saying that you should do it. Okay? It's not all the time that you need to stand your ground, so to say. Number 3 is compromising. Compromising. You need to also compromise once in a while, but compromising has to do with not just you, but the other person. So this is where you now call the person and have a discussion with the person and say, okay, I'm going to change this, but please, you need to change this also. This one works very well in marriage. But like I said, you must start with yourself. You change your own self first, then it's easier for you to influence that person to change themselves. So this is compromising, where both parties are now compromising and say, okay, I will come and meet you somewhere in between. You two come and meet me somewhere in between. All right. So, it will really, really work when you are team members, you are teammates. Doesn't work with your boss, please. Doesn't work with your boss. If you're teammates and then the other team member is saying that you're always doing this, I don't like this. Okay, no problem. I will start doing this. You two, please start doing this. All right. And then that's where we can work together. All right. So compromising. Then there's competing. Competing. This particular one, you have to be very stubborn if you want to go through these routes. This one is like a long term. For competing, you're trying to show the person that your way is better. So you will actually go through the entire process of the conflict. Go through the entire process of the conflict and then come out on top when your own way has helped the situation, so to say. And then come out on top and say, I told you that this was the way to go. But in the middle of everything, you have to be calm because you don't want anything to be, scattered and destroyed in all that. But you have to be calm. But right now you're just competing to show. Let's see whose way is better. Yeah, you need strength for this one. You need strength. Now you're just complaining. Okay, you're saying that this is how you should do that. Okay, I would go ahead and do it my way, but let's just see whose way is going to be better. So that's when you're competing, and that can actually help to resolve conflict. Because by the time the person now sees that your way was better, then the person can say, "Oh, really?" Please keep your question till after. Ready to shake down even on issues. I didn't say that completely. So please keep your questions till after. I believe the host will be able to help me read out some of the questions because I can't, the comments are just going on fast. All right, so the person will now see that, oh, really? your way is better, and then that resolves the conflict. Or the person will now say, I told you your way was not better. Now, can we now come and do it my way? That also resolves the conflict. So that's competing. And then lastly is collaborating. Collaborating. That's when you now, excuse me. Okay, yeah, so lastly is collaborating. So that's when you now say, all right, you do it this way, I do it this way, and then we come together here. All right, you still do your own way, I still do my own way, and then we now look for a way for both of us to merge. So I'm not compromising on my way, you're not compromising on your own way. We'll still do it our ways, but we now look for a common ground where both of us can merge, even with our different ideologies or our different ways. Okay, so avoiding, accommodating, compromising, competing, and collaborating. Avoiding, compromising, and collaborating. So yeah, there are two major strategies, and if you look at all these things, what's at stake or risk level? Yeah, depends on that too. So, like I said, there's no hard and fast rule. There's no hard and fast rule because it's with people and it's with situations that are very broad. You just need to know which one to use at which time. All right. And then if you look at every single one of them, there's an element of assertiveness. I told you about assertiveness and cooperation and cooperativeness, so to say. So every one of them has a blend of the two. Every one of them has a blend of the two. So you should know, there are some that is just assertive, that's the competing, that's like assertive, all the way assertive. And then maybe a little of cooperating at the end of the road. Okay, so you should know how to blend. You need a blend of these two to actually achieve this. But sometimes you need to be assertive, sometimes you need to be you need that blend of the good, the bad, to really be perceived to the people. All right. So I want to give you some scenarios and ask you questions now on these scenarios. So your name is Toby. I've not seen any Toby yet, so let me use Toby. Your name is Toby. Where you work, there's somebody who is always talking about how you dress. And I'm using this because of women especially. Always talking about how you dress, always practically like making jest of you because of how you dress and all that. And then you know that this person doesn't dress well. Our makeup is like they went to do it under the bridge, Juwoye Market. The makeup is just terrible. But this person keeps talking about how you dress and you don't like it. What do you do? What do you do? If you decide to give this person fire for fire, you have enough points, you have enough even pictures to use to just scatter this person's table, not just shake it, scatter the person and bring down the person's self-esteem, so to say. But then what do you do? And this person keeps talking about how you dress. What do you do? And I'm using dress because we're ladies and we can all relate to that. Sometimes it happens in the workplace. And I'm merely talking about in the workplace. The person is talking about your results or the way you do things, the way you do things. Whereas you also are saying that this person has a lot of loopholes in the way they do their own stuff. And the person is always attacking you based on how you work. All right. So we have a few men. Okay. Oh, there are a few men here. All right. So, okay. Well, but let's still use that example. All right. So what do you do? Even for dressing, for men too. This person doesn't even know colors and all that stuff. And he's always attacking you on how you do. So what do? You can answer me in the comment section.
Or please raise your hand if you have to answer.
Sorry?
Or they can raise their hand if they want to answer.
Yes, please. Please raise your hand if you want to answer, and then the host can, I'm the host. And then you can unmute your microphone and answer. All right, I know. Kindly unmute.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Hello.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
for that kind of person, you can just ignore or avoid. Just ignore. You know that you have more than enough points to, give it back to the person instead of causing conflict. Maybe because at the end of the day, the person might be holding on to what you will say because your own point will be stronger. So you can just let the person be, ignore such person, avoid the trouble, and put him in his class. That's my own.
Same in his class. I like that. You can just put it, okay, so then you use the avoidance
Yes.
method.
Yes, avoidance. Yes.
Are you sure that you won't get to a boiling point one day and then just unleash?
No, particularly when you know that he has more things to contend, we just leave the person and let him or her be.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Any other person? Anybody else? Somebody said, "Narili, thank God for salvation." Okay, anybody else wants to answer? What will you do? Which of these strategies will you use?
Ifeoma, please unmute your mic.
All right.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for the class. For someone like me, I cannot avoid because it will be disturbing me. Things they disturb me a lot. So I think what I will do, I will just try to have a discussion with the person, and then find out why she's making a jest of me, as in the particular aspect. Is it the colors I miss, or is it my dressing as a whole? So when I now get her own point of what she's trying to do, then I'll now explain to her that, see yourself, I'm even better than you. So I don't understand why you're making a jest of me. So because if I say let me ignore or avoid her, I cannot, because it will be disturbing me and it will end up me telling somebody, my colleague, the person will not tell her. It will be as if it is a gossip, and then when it now comes out maybe for a fight, I know I will not win. So it's better I call her and then I will not make her to understand that she's making jest of. I'm even better than her. I dress more than her. Or we can even go to a third party to ask, please, the two of us, who dresses better?
The law of every action is an equal and opposite reaction. By the time you start telling her that I'm even better than you, are you sure that there won't be a reaction with that?
No, I will try to explain like calmly, like a discussion, like, sister, okay, you have been laughing at me, making jest of me. What exactly is bad about me? Is it the colors I miss, or how I wear them, or what? This kind of people, you will see that it's just pure jealousy. They don't have anything tangible. It's just that maybe you people in the office like you more than them. So they're just trying to find a fault. There's no fault there. So what I will do, I'll just talk to the person. If the person proves hard, then I will bring out my own hardness. Then two of us will be hard in the office. I think that's what I will do, because I cannot ignore, because I don't know how to ignore. It will be disturbing me. So I have to talk to the person.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Let's take one more on this particular question.
Olati, unmute your mic, please.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for today. Yeah, what I realized is that I am the kind of person that I will be affected by it. I can't avoid. So I think I would approach our friendly, ask for our opinion, then we get to sit down. Then you could just jokingly chip in and say, "Oh, why don't we do like ask for others' opinion? Who do you think dresses better?" Because if you're going the hard way, the office will be too hot for you all.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. There has not been a conversation as to whether I dress better than you. She just keeps saying you are not dressing well. You are not dressing well. It's you that knows in your mind that if me and you stand, I'm better than you. You get, so if you actually say who dresses better, then you would be indirectly telling her that, man, I mean, let's get on the runway and let's see who people will clap for. All right. So thank you all so much. You see now you see different people and in different ways. If your man's own was the funniest, different ways of addressing this. So when it comes to avoidance, for such, it's possible that one day you will actually blow up. One day, especially on the day that the person really dresses one terrible way and then now talks to you. That's the day you will now finish her. And I know you women very well. Okay, there are a few men here. But that's the day that she will now hear and know that she's a masquerade. She's always dressing like a masquerade. And then you will now show it to her with her attire that day. All right. So I don't think that avoidance would be the best solution or the best way to resolve this particular one. I think that one that can work well is what the last person that spoke now. I can't remember. I didn't get the name. Last person that spoke is what the person said. I will work really well because confronting will actually bring up more conflict. But when you compete in this kind of situation, and then one way that you can do that is not to now say who dresses better, is to say, okay, how do I dress that you don't like? This. All right, how about we do something? Tomorrow or for the next 1 week, you dress like me, and then I will dress like you. And then let's see the difference. For the next 1 week, you dress like me, I will dress like you. Let's see the difference. Let's see if people would, what's it called now? What's it called when they appreciate you, commend you, compliment you, yeah. Compliment you for your dressing. Let's see how the complimenting will be. And then let me dress like you. Like you want me to dress this way, right? Okay, no problem. I will dress like that. But I may not be able to do it for long, but I will dress like that. And then I will tell you what people are saying about it. Okay. So that way the person will see at the end of the day that your own way was better. And really, you need to also check. It's possible. I've always said it. Criticism is a very good. I love criticism. I love it when people criticize me because I would now be able to look at myself and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? It will help me to check myself. It's one of the major things I've learned from my father-in-law, Pastor Adeboye. Even when you criticize him, he's always very quiet. He doesn't send when you criticize him. But he would check himself. He never attacks people that criticize him. I've never seen him one day attack someone who criticizes him. He will either ignore completely because he can see clearly that he's not doing anything wrong in that area, or check himself and change something about what he's doing. All right. So yeah, he never does. So it's very important that you take criticism also and look at it and say, okay, really, this person may not be dressing well, really, but maybe there's something that he or she is saying that I am not also saying. So, okay, that's compromising. Okay, well, so both of you are coming to one particular. I would see it more as competing because you are trying to prove to the person that your own way is right. Compromising would be, all right, let's do your way. I mean, I would leave part of my own way and come like halfway, and then you also should leave part of your own and come halfway. So that would be compromising. But when you're trying to prove to the person that your own way is the right way, that what you're saying is right, then that's competing. So I think I'll see it more as competing than compromising. Okay. All right. Second scenario. This person is always doing presentations. And then after their presentations, you feel like you should, when somebody does a presentation, then someone that is making jest of you is a bully. Bullies need confrontation than friendship. You see, that's the thing. So confrontation, honestly, peace is always better than war. I'll come back to that scenario, but let me say this, because it's very important in conflict resolution that you understand that peace is always better than war. If you go to war, you may win, but you will definitely lose something. It will cost you something to go to war, even if you win. So always choose peace. Always choose peace. That's why Jesus Christ even said that if somebody slaps you on this cheek, turn the left one. All right. Although he didn't say what you should do if they slap the left one. Maybe at that point, Holy Spirit can descend on you like he usually descend on Samson. But I'm just joking about that. Always choose peace. Always choose peace. If you check all through scriptures, Jesus has never encouraged you fighting for yourself. Never. He has never even encouraged you fighting for him. Never. When they came to try and take Jesus Christ, Peter cut the guy's ear. Jesus Christ fixed it and told him, put your sword away. At first, he said, you guys get your swords ready. They are coming for me, because at that point he was weak. But he now went to pray, and then he got the strength and said, okay, I'm going to carry this cup. I'm not going to fight. But this time around, he was now saying, put your sword away. So when you are being led by the Holy Spirit does not lead you to slap people or to fight people or to abuse people. No. And the Bible says that if we're going to be in the Spirit, then we must walk in the Spirit. All right. So if you are really going to be led by the Holy Spirit, and those who are the sons of God are the ones that are led by the Holy Spirit. If you're going to be led by the Holy Spirit, you would avoid very much conflict. You avoid fighting with people. You will always be trying to resolve. You always be trying to calm nerves down. And sometimes you would have to accommodate because of that, because you just don't want, you just have to, just go ahead and accommodate. All right. So please, yes, the person may be a bully, but please don't push back with a fight. Push back with love. Let your answer always be love. Let your answer always reflect what the Holy Spirit would want you to do at that. Rather than just is a great deal. One of my major mottos in life is 1 John chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. 1 John 4, 7 and 8. Beloved, let us love one another, for God is of love, and anyone that loveth is one of God. He that loveth knoweth not God, for God is love. So, and Paul says something. He said, even if I speak with the tongues of angels, even if I give my body to be burned for the poor, if I do all these things, giving your body to be burned for other people means that you are sacrificing for them, right? It probably means love, but it's not love. He said, even if I do all this and I don't love, so it's not love. It's not all the time that it is love. Sometimes you are doing it for like politicians. Many times they do it for their own selves. But one thing that must be a motto in your mind is love, okay? Love. So it's important. Even if the person is a bully, if the person is trying to fight you and all that, always respond with love. And let me tell you something. I was talking the other time about war and peace, why peace is always better than war. People watch you. One of the things that war costs you is relationship with other people. So if Nigeria is fighting with Cameroon, for example, and then Nigeria just goes all the way and destroys the entire nation of Cameroon, how do you think Ghana would begin to relate with Nigeria from that point henceforth? They'll begin to relate to them with care. Like, these people, they can fight and all that. There are people that like that you them. Even though that person did something wrong, but the way the person attacked and all that stuff and everything, you're like, let me just be careful with this person. I don't want to, and you can lose relationships, lose great opportunities just based on that. I always say it is better that I'm a fool than for me to have a bad reputation with people. I would rather look like a fool. I would rather let you walk over me. Yes, you won. You cheated me. No problem. But because you are trying to cheat me, I don't want you to cheat me. And you are a conductor. And I now start saying, no, you will not cheat me. You will not cheat me. And then I now bring out punch with you. The person that is passing by that sees me. Imagine any of you now, for example, any of you here who knows Mrs. A very well, now sees her husband fighting somebody on the streets. Immediately, my reputation with you just dies. It just dies. I've lost something in your heart at that point. And I didn't even know it. I was just trying not to be cheated. I was just trying not to be bullied. So always choose peace over war. Always choose, because war will cost you something. It will always cost you something. So it's important that you know that you have that underlining, response to whatever anybody does to you. War will always cost you something. So please always choose peace. Always look for a way to resolve the situation rather than give them an eye for an eye. Okay? Yeah, I was gonna give this scenario. So this person, whenever they do a presentation, you always see something wrong in their presentation. I mean, and you feel like presentations should be torn apart. I mean, for the good of the company, presentations should be torn apart, really. So when the person comes and gives a presentation, for this particular person, you always see things to talk about, and you feel you're doing it for the good of the organization. Now it now comes to you, and then you're now giving a presentation. This person is always on your case, always on your case. And in fact, even though your presentation rather seems to be good, this person wants to ensure that your own ideas don't work. What do you do? What do you do? Do you get that scenario? So this person is always on. I mean, you tear people's presentations apart normally. You understand? Because you feel like that's what should happen, especially in a brainstorming session. This person says that this is how I feel that the company should go, and then you feel that that's not good for the company. You're doing it for the good of the company in your own mind. You're doing it for the good of the company. But this person says it as an attack on themselves, on their personality. They feel like you're attacking them and not just the idea of the presentation. It now turns around now that you are now the one who is giving the presentation. What do you now do when the person seems to be attacking you and trying to ensure that your own ideas don't, they don't fly in the organization? What do you do? Raise up your hand if you have a question, if you have an answer, right? Is any hand raised?
No, sir, but somebody said in the comment section, tell the person to collaborate with me and help me to or compete with him on that.
Okay. To collaborate or compete. So you can't do both. You can't collaborate and compete at the same time. So maybe the person is, maybe you are going to ask the person to collaborate with you, which is a very, 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 very fantastic one and brilliant. But you know what the person doesn't want? The person doesn't want that your idea at all. They don't want that your idea at all. So, and collaboration means you do your thing, I do my thing, then we look for a way to come together to bring it together. So it's a very good one. However, you need to be able to sell it to that person. You need to be able to sell it to that person and sell it in such a way that the person is going to really buy it. All right? In such a way that the person is really buy it. So at that point, you need to probably go and meet the person and talk about their own idea. In fact, when you are doing your presentation, say that you got this inspiration from this person. You have to look for something that a common ground between both ideas. Look for a common ground between both ideas and then bring that person into it and make the person look good. Because why? What's the problem? The person perceives you as somebody who does not want them to grow in the organization. The person perceives you as somebody who will be against their promotion, so to say. Somebody who is trying to kill their dreams. So you need to show the person that you want them to grow, that you see them as a very important part of the organization, and that the organization needs them and needs their ideas. When you do that, you have softened the person's mind towards you. That way, it's now easy for you to now collaborate with the person. All right? It's not easy for you to collaborate. So sometimes it's important that you fan people's egos. Make the person feel big. Exactly. It's why you fan people's egos. When you do that, you make the person look good, especially because you have actually been making the person look bad. And let's be honest with ourselves. You thought you were doing it for the good of the company, but man, you've been doing wrong. You've actually been making the person feel very terrible. Some of those things that you said, you shouldn't have said it in public, in front of the board members or in front of the boss. You could have gone back to tell the person in private and told the person to tweak it in their presentation. Tell the person, okay, I think that you can do, I think I can do in private. It's better to criticize people in private than in public. When it comes to public, it doesn't look like criticism again, it looks like a rebuke. So I always tell myself, if I'm talking to this person in public, I'm telling myself what I'm doing is I'm not criticizing him, I'm rebuking him. But when I'm talking to him in private, I know I'm not rebuking him, I'm criticizing him. All right. So maybe you can adopt that too and say, and tell yourself that if I'm telling this person in public, I'm rebuking him. But if I'm telling him in private, I'm criticizing him, because people are always very conscious of what you say about them in front of other people. But when it's just the two of you, then the person can tell you thank you. But if it's not in front of, if it's in front of other people, the person is not likely to say thank you for that criticism. All right. So sometimes you need to find the person's ego. Collaboration is a very good solution to that conflict. Very, very good solution to it. But the way you do it is that you also find the person's ego, and make the person really see that you are not that kind of person that they think that you are, and then bring them on board to do it. You can probably even make them the person leading it if you are comfortable with that, or make sure that you get that team members to put this together. I'm going to put this together. Okay. All right. Now let me get questions from you.
Okay, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand and you'll be unmuted. Also, our YouTube family, you can put your questions in the comment section. We'll get them. All right, Benny Damsel, please unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Thank you for the message. I just wanted to ask a question. I work somewhere as an admin. Before I became an admin, I started from assistant class teacher, from there to teacher, and from there I became an admin. I have somebody who works with us, who's quite older than me. We do have in a quarter, at least in a quarter, we have issues. Now, why do we have issues? Most times she feels that who is this small girl that should be ordering? That's the way I see it. And my question is a situation whereby something she's supposed to do and she doesn't do it. And you kind of walk up to her that, Madam, you have not done this. Her attitude, maybe being, because quite all right, I noticed that every colleague complains of her character, and I try to avoid her. Sometimes when issues come down, I try to avoid her. But now in a situation whereby there's an issue and she's just like, okay, let me just play it this way. There was an issue and she was supposed to help out, and she just reluctantly refused to help out, to give solution to the issue. She deliberately did not want to help out to ensure that there is a solution to the issue on ground. And so, what do you do in such a case?
Are you the boss? You are admin, right?
Yes, I mean, after my boss, I'm the next person.
Sorry?
Yes, I am.
This person is a subordinate.
Yes.
Okay. What's the culture in the organization? Because that matters a lot. I mean, you dare not, in an organization where there are principles and policies, you dare not, when the admin says that you should do this, even if you are older than the admin, even if you're the admin's mother, and then you're supposed to solve a problem, you're supposed to be the one who will solve the problem, and then you just decide that you must really have mind if it's an organization that has discipline as one of their cultures. So I think, tell me, what's the culture of the organization?
There is a culture where what actually happened is this: the problem that she was supposed to give solution to was kind of how would I put it now? It was not really her duty to do it, but she has somebody who happens to be a friend of hers that she could talk to help give solution to the problem. But I got an information from somebody else that she felt that I spoke to that friend of hers somehow. So she deliberately do not want to tell the person to go ahead to help out.
Okay. Okay.
So God being so kind, today the issue was resolved.
Okay. Okay. Good. So how was it resolved? You still got to that friend?
No, I did not. A colleague
Through another
now,
means, right?
yes, knows another person. It was now that person who helped us to get it resolved. And I saw in her expression that she was cold.
Exactly. Exactly. So I was going to say that too. That sometimes, especially when somebody has attitude, an attitude problem, sometimes you need to avoid them and get your stuff done without them. They will, when they see that they are becoming redundant, so to say, they will eventually have to come out. Sometimes in situations like that, especially for this person who many people have problems with, you avoid them. I mean, I have people like that and I avoid them. And then many times I'll now see them being the ones who come to me to say, I can solve this problem, I can do this. Should I do this? Should I do that? And all that. So yeah, so for such a person, avoidance is good when the person has an attitude issue. But if the person is going to infect other people with their cancer, a bad staff is like cancer. I believe a bad staff is like cancer. If you let that person just go with that bad attitude, somebody else will see it and repeat that attitude. So if the person is like that, then you need to bring disciplinary actions on board, especially if you are the boss. So don't let people just do how they like, just behave the way they like. No, that should not be happening in any organization. There should be consequences for all actions. But if it's clearly not something that you can hold the person to, it's not official, you need this person's help unofficially now, but to solve an official problem, then just ignore the person. Just avoid the person, and then you look for another means of solving the problem. But also check, because you said that you spoke to that friend somehow. Criticism is feedback. Also check and say, okay, what did I do wrong? How did I speak to this person? All right. So if you speak to if you try and correct that, if you talk to the person and say, I'm sorry I spoke to you this way and all that stuff, you will now be in the right. Remember, the Bible says that when your obedience is complete, then you can now discipline somebody else's disobedience. You're rephrasing. You can now discipline. So check your own obedience first. If you are sure that you were in the right, you have now checked this person, you have talked to this person, and you have made sure that that impression that they have of you is wrong. Then, you can now go ahead and, do the avoidance and get the problem solved some other way. But if there's anybody on this call who has such a stubborn person around them, many times the solution is that you make them redundant. You make them lose that power that they think that they have to hold you to ransom. All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Just a question in the comments. I'll read it out. So this person asked, what if the other person is not ready to shift ground, even on issues that are sensitive and affecting your emotions? I think this question was asked when you were talking about conflict resolution in marriage.
Okay. One of the things that Mr. Disa usually advises, like I said, I'm not the marriage counselor, she's the marriage counselor. I don't really know how to counsel very well when it comes to, I do, especially for church and all that, and because I'm a pastor too, so I have no choice than to counsel, but sometimes I begs. I'm like, how can you do that? But she has the tactics, the ways to, relay the message and ensure that the person gets it and all that. So I will be quoting her. One of the things that she talks about before you get married is that you have to have at least 2 or 3 people that your spouse submits to and respects. Because there will be those times, there will definitely be those times when the person does not want to shift ground and you feel like the person needs to shift ground. So you go to one of those people that the person respects and submits to, and you talk to that person. If the person also feels like your spouse does not have to shift ground, then check yourself. I mean, this person really is a respectable person, has the Holy Spirit, and is objective. Yeah, you need to be sure of those kind of people that your spouse submits to. So if the person still feels like your spouse does not have to shift ground, check yourself. But if it's something that the person also agrees with you, man, he has to change this, then the person will talk to your spouse for you. All right. And then sometimes women, sometimes you don't get what you want logically. Sometimes you need to use your power as a woman. And that power involves things like food, things like how you dress and walk around in the house, things like you just impressing him, in several ways. Maybe you go to his office with food or something. Your husband has used it. He spoke to my uncle, he's also a pastor and has been a father, and it worked, right? So, some of these ways that you used to impress him, and then now relay your whatever it is that you want him to shift ground on. It works. It works. When she has impressed you, done this, done that, you just don't want to say no. You just don't want to say no. But there are some things, you have to know the kind of thing, the particular stuff, she gets. There are some that he is still going to stand his ground. Why? Because he believes so much in it. For example, this will never happen anyways. If my wife is telling me that we should go to Ozumba, and then no matter what she does, I will not, of course, that will never happen. I'm just giving a crazy example. No matter what she does, the answer will always be no. You get? So because I believe greatly in my God, you understand? So that's just that kind of scenario. If it really, really conflicts strongly with his beliefs, then he may not shift ground, even when you try to use the woman power. All right? But use the woman power or go to that mentor, that person that they submit to. That one usually works. Especially because that person has also thought it through and has said, this is what's best for you. Go with what your wife is saying. I think that will work. And if you have a spouse that does not listen to anybody, does not submit to anybody, even his dad does not listen to his dad, does not really respect them, run from that person. Don't marry. If you are married to the person, the Lord will give you grace and mercy in Jesus' name. If you are not yet married to that person, run. Why? Because the person will just be commanding you all over the house. You will just become a puppet. The person will just expect you to do what they want you to do, and that's it. All right? So if you are married to that kind of person, if you are engaged to that kind of person, it's a no. You can't marry that person. Doesn't submit to anybody. Does not fear anybody. Fear. I mean actually fear. Like the moment he hears that you have talked to that person about the situation, he becomes nervous and begins to say, I don't want this person to call me about it. You shouldn't have said it now. You should have, so if he does not have that kind of person in his life, don't marry him if you are not yet married to him. All right.
So just two more questions. One from here. This person said, in case when your spouse said that no third party in solving an issue or conflict, what would you do? I think you've kind of mentioned that, but yeah, that's the question.
Okay. If your spouse says that no third party should be involved, you need to talk to them about that and say, okay, I agree with you that third parties should not be involved with our issues, but let's put a limit and say, okay, if a fight is getting to 1 month, don't you think that it's best if we bring a third party in? So you should, just like we talked about, you should now compromise. Both of you should come to a middle ground and say, all right, why don't we, if it's getting to 1 month, if it's getting really, really tough, why don't you bring a third party in, and then look at those conditions, so to say. But don't say outrightly, no, it has to be third party and all that. That cannot work. That cannot work. So understand what the person wants and then say, okay, how about if we do it this way? because sometimes third parties are very, very important. The reason some marriages are surviving today is because a third party came in and helped them. And if the person is saying absolutely no third party, then you say, okay, how about if the third party is a neutral body, like a marriage counselor? Neutral body, not a family member, not someone that knows us, not someone that can be subjective, someone that will be objective, like a professional marriage counselor, for example, or a pastor, someone who has the Spirit of God and all that stuff and everything. So you guys need to come to a compromise on that to decide and say, okay, this is allowed. That's not allowed. Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Then last question. My question is, how do you avoid getting caught in the middle of a quarrel, using my parents as an example?
Oh, in the middle, like quarrel between parents and then being in the middle of it.
Yes.
Let's be honest with ourselves, you can't avoid you can't avoid it. Because especially with parents, sometimes it's you that they will call to come and help them resolve it. And you know that this quarrel, I'm not the best person. I don't even want to be involved, but honestly, you can't avoid it sometimes. So pray for wisdom and understanding to help you to to mediate between both of them. But one thing is very, very important, especially when a couple, married people, are fighting. Never take sides with one of them. Never. You know why? Because when the quarrel is over, hey, everything you said to this person, the other person will hear. Everything you said to that person, the other person will hear. So the best thing is that you have just been trying to make sure that they come together in peace and you didn't take side with anybody. Because when they now start talking about it, if they now see that, oh, all that this person cared about was that we finished the quarrel is over and all that. Not that, now that's how your husband did to me yesterday too. That's how he is. That's just his behavior. You just have to learn to cope. Okay? That's how men are. All right. And if it's difficult for you to cope, these are the tactics that you will use against him, and all that. By the time you are through with all that, and then they now become friends again, she will now say, this is the tactic that this person said I should use whenever you are doing this kind of thing. That husband will now say, this one is my enemy, it's the enemy of my marriage. All right. So it's important that you never take sides with both of them when such a thing happens. But it's impossible for you to avoid being in the middle of such conflicts. You just need grace and wisdom to be able to, mediate between the two of them. All right. Your mom is always calling you to inform you. So that's how it is. It's practically impossible, especially with your parents. Practically impossible. And even if it's with your friend and their spouse, it's difficult. Because if they bring you in, will you now say, I don't want to be involved, I don't want to be involved, you people can break each other's heads, I don't want to be involved. That won't be right now. So it's practically impossible. Yeah.
Okay, sir. I see one last question. This will be the final question. So this person says, how do you avoid having conflict with your siblings because of competition in the competition? Siblings rival, I guess.
There are some people that you should never compete with. Never. Why? Because you're on the same team. A husband should never compete with his wife. Why? Because they're on the same team. And like I always say, when people tell me, do you ever feel like, how would I put it now? Definitely not intimidated. That's too much to even use to describe it. But do you ever feel somehow that your wife, is really popular and all that stuff? I don't. Why? Because she carries my name. It's me. It's Adisa that everybody's talking about. It's Tomi Adisa. The name here is Tomi Adisa. So I can't compete with my wife. A wife should never compete with her husband. Why? Because they're on the same team. A brother should never compete with his sister. A sister should never compete with a brother. Brother should never compete with her. Why? Because they're on the same team. On the same team. This is what Joseph understood. That's what he understood. He understood that if I'm the leader and you all are bowing to me, it does not mean that I'm better than you. It just means that we are all going to be like the royal family. And so that's why when they came back, he didn't think of punishing them. What he thought of doing was bringing them to a particular place, giving them their own land, their own property in Egypt, which was Goshen, settling the family. So siblings must never compete. If you have that situation or that issue in your family, you need to check some things. Some things are fundamentally wrong. For me to think that I should be competing with my sister, it means that there's this idea in the family that if somebody is not around, they should not meet, like they say in Yoruba. That if, Yoruba, some people even pray this prayer. I hate that prayer. That if you are not around, they will not meet in your family because of how rich you are or how great you are. That if you are not around, they will not be able to make decisions in the family. What kind of rubbish is that? God forbid. That means they're saying that my family members will be poor. No. The only competition I want between our family members is like what happened with Obi Kubana's what's it called? Party, where I bring a trailer of cows, you bring 2 trailers of cows. That's the competition I want. I don't want the competition of I bring a trailer of cow, everybody says, thank you, sir, for bringing that cow. No. So please ensure that that kind of mindset, that culture in the family must end. And you can be the one to start it, to start making sure that it ends. Show everybody that you're on the same team. Help them to become successful. Billionaire competition, yes. So help your siblings to become successful. Tell them actually the things that you want them to help you with for you to become successful. You have to be careful, of course, also because so not all siblings are godly and all that. But purposely, consciously show them that you guys are on the same team. If you are great today, if you become very, very popular and very great, it's your name that they will also be bearing. And that name will also open doors for them. So it's important that that mindset dies, please. That mindset has to die. There should be nothing like that in that family. Nothing like that in the family. Everybody must know that they're on the same team. Nobody brings down the other. Everybody tries to lift the other person up. And if somebody is succeeding, exceeding well, greatly, everybody should be cheering him on. And also telling him that, okay, now you are succeeding, you're getting to that point. This is where I need you to help me. Since you are at this level now, you're now the president of the nation. I need you to give me tax cuts or whatever it is to help me to also rise higher than where I am. So the problem in that family is not just rivalry. It's deeper than that. It's culture. It's mindset. There's a mindset. And please, you need to change that mindset. You need to attack that mindset. And sometimes also it's important that you attack it in prayers also, because sometimes those mindsets were not born in that generation. They had been existing since like 10, 50 generations before that time. And that's one of the problems that we have in the Yoruba tribe. This mindset of I better pass my neighbor is deep in the Yoruba culture. And it didn't start with our generation. So we can't change it just with our own generation. We can only change it by prayers, asking the Holy Spirit to go back into the roots and dig those things out. That's why Obasanjo and Awolowo were fighting. People that were supposed to be coming together to help the nation get better. And that's one major advantage that the Igbos have. That's why the Igbos are very wealthy and, very industrious and always helping each other, because they have the mindset that they are all on the same team. They are all trying to help each other. So you see 2 Igbos that are actually selling the same products, helping each other to grow in their businesses. I admire that a lot about them. Okay. And then when it comes to the Awusas, they have the mindset that they should be the ones ruling everybody. And you see them actually doing everything possible to go and check all these parasasa. You see Awusas, almost everybody at the top are Awusas, and most of the time Muslims too, because most, in that part of the world, mostly Islam is their major culture, major religion rather. So they have those mindsets, and then we Yorubas have this other mindset that, definitely comes from the roots, comes from maybe when Shango was fighting with Obatala and all that, and then, everybody just wants to be the one who is better than the other. You don't hear about these things when it comes to the Northerners and the Igbos. So if your family is a Yoruba family, you need to use prayers also to dig down into the roots and uproot that rubbish mindset. All right. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for that. I can actually relate to that, and I think I'm gonna actually intentionally start praying about it as well, because that competition is really, really true in the Yoruba culture.
Yeah. Are you
Thank you
Yoruba?
so much. I'm
This
Yoruba.
this
It's
is
Tayo.
Ivory. This is
Tayo.
Tayo. Okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was okay. Tayo. Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, I would like for everyone to say in the comment section, thank you. A big thank you to Pastor Femi Adisa.
Thank you.
For
Thank you
tonight,
very
we've been really blessed. Thank you so much, sir. God will continue to bless you and replenish you, anoint you afresh in Jesus' name. Thank you so much, sir. Good night, everybody.
All right. So you can end it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll end it now.